city, your state, your community. I tell you, that's just the only way. You've got to know. Marriage isn't gonna collapse because God is able to sustain my marriage. Had it been he or she can see, he or she will be able to tell that this person is innocent. We are the enemies. You get it now? That's why you see Jesus said, love your enemies. Do good to them that hurt you. Because Jesus understands.
God in the highest, the Father of mercies. Good, beautiful evening to you all. God bless you abundantly, and it is well with you in Jesus' mighty name. Thank you so very much, everyone, for always giving our time to listening to our podcast. You know, like I say all the time, it means a whole lot to me. Thank you so very much, and God bless you. And now there is a change, okay? Because I believe currently some folks are listening to my words and some are watching me. Okay, so our podcast now, the solo episodes by me, are on YouTube now. You can then catch up with the episode on YouTube where you see me talking, not just you listening to me talking. Okay, thank you so very much. Now we've been on a particular topic for some time now, understanding the meaning and importance of fasting, a very important stuff. And we're about to bring it to a close as we are drawing there to the end. It's a very important stuff, and diverse people from different parts of the world have actually been benefiting from the insight in the teaching, in the teachings. It has been a great one. And I remember telling you that a lot of people fast. A lot of people fast. Even some just practice fasting, not from the standpoint of spiritual practice, medical practice. Alright? But now let us look at it from the aspect of the spiritual side now. A lot of people practice fasting. A lot of Christians fast. And you see, most Christians fast the wrong way. You know, I actually went to the mountain some years back, and while I was on the mountain, I saw some fellow on the mountain, and I discovered that they've been on the mountain for some months, and they've been fasting and praying on a particular mountain, and they've been there now for some months, fasting and praying. Then I had to walk up to her that day, one of them. Then I asked, how are you doing? She said, fine. I said, sorry to bother you, but I heard you've been on the mountain for some time now. Is that true? Then she said, Elisha, because I told her my name was Elisha. He said, yeah, that's true, Elisha. I've been on the mountain myself and my family for over 2 months now. Then I asked, sorry, what exactly are you praying for that for 2 months plus you're still here? And she said, not just that for 2 months plus we've been here. For 2 months plus we've been fasting every blessed day, eating in the evening. I said, what's the matter? I told her I'm an ambassador of God's kingdom. What's the matter? Then she said to me that the thing is they do not want to return back home without getting answers to their prayers. And God is yet to answer their prayers. Then I looked at her and asked her some questions. I said, you're fasting and you're still doing everything the same way, just like as if you ain't fasting? I said, this ain't fasting. I was so blunt with her. I had to tell her the truth. You're not fasting. You're just practicing what do they call it? Not eating for the sake of the cells to reproduce more cells. That's just what you're doing. You're not fasting. I said, you don't fast like this. You don't fast like this. Then she called the rest of the family and said, I think we have to sit down and listen to this young man. Then I started lecturing them. I told him, I said, you want to fast in such a way that you would get answers. You want to fast in such a way that God would regard you as one of the folks fasting right, then you have to do it like this, and like this. I began first by telling them that firstly, you want to fast, it is important that you replace carnal activities with spiritual ones. Elisha, what do you mean? They say. I say, all right. What are the things that you do on and off? You're not fast on the things that you do on a regular basis. You're in fast on the stuff that you do. Then they told me, I go to work, you go to work, the kids go to school, and everyone is always busy. We return back home in the afternoon, and I cook for the family, and etc. etc. I looked at the kids. What are the things that you do on and off if you're in fasting? And we go to school, we return back home, I sit down and watch the TV, and I grab my phone, I play on the phone, I play games, I go visit my friends, all of those things to mention. Then I asked the husband, what are the things you do? He said he goes to work, return back home, then if he returns back home early, he spends times with some of his friends in the street and the gist, and at times he sits in the living room to watch movie. And I said, now you guys are on the mountain, what are the things that you are been doing on this mountain? And one of the smart kids said, yeah, we fasted yesterday, and all through yesterday I was with that guy over there because I realized we both came from the same state, and we were just vibing well and having nice time together even though I was fasting. And I said, now you're missing it. You cannot practice fasting like this and expect response from God. You want to become a footballer, then you're there seated, sleeping on the couch, eating all of the snacks you've got in the refrigerator every blessed day, and you're telling folks that, yeah, I'm definitely going to be a great footballer. Yeah, it is going to happen. That's something that I know is going to happen. And you're right there on the couch, not on the field training, but on the couch, doing nothing, just eating junks. And you are saying you're going to become a great footballer. You're just deceiving yourself. In order to become a great footballer, it is important you do the things that great footballer did or are doing. In other words, to get a promised result, it is important you do it the right way. Everyone who wants to become a great footballer must get out to the field and train properly, just like the great footballers do. You can't sit on the couch and say you want to become a great footballer. Same with you guys, I told them. You cannot be fasting like this and say you're going to get answers to your prayers, because fasting demands that you do it the right way in order to get answers from God. I told them. Then I educated them. I said, now, the moment you are fasting, put an end to every carnal activities that you guys engage in and focus on spiritual stuffs. Spiritual stuffs like reading the Bible, listening to sermons, messages that exalt God. Focus on spiritual things, things that promote spirituality. Listen to messages that are filled with the love of God. Do not interact with anybody if it is based on anything carnal. Even if you want to interact with your friends and families, let it be from the standpoint of coming together to pray, coming together to read the Bible together, coming together to do spiritual stuff together, like worshiping God and praising Him. Then I told them, I said, you have to abstain from distractions in order to focus on God. You cannot be distracted and say you're fasting. Nah, that ain't gonna be possible. That ain't gonna be possible. I told them. Then they were educated, and to God be the glory, alright? To God be the glory. After some days, and you say it all worked out, and they left and returned back home. And now, that's why I'm so keen on this particular topic, because I want you to understand it. I want you to get it. I see you're fasting a lot, alright? But you need answers to the prayers you've been asking. You have to do it the right way. That's what Jesus said. You have to do it the right way. You know, according to Jesus, Jesus said to us that there are patterns to everything. You have to understand it. The moment you and I were born, we were born into patterns. In other words, if you want to eat, there is a pattern on how to eat. You want to drink, there is a pattern on how to drink. You want to talk, there is a pattern on how to talk. Sorry. Whatever you want to do, there is a pattern on how to do it. You want to give alms, there is a pattern on how to do it. You want to give gifts to folks who are in need, there is a pattern on how to do it. You want to fast, there is a pattern on how to do it. You want to pray, there is a pattern on how to do it. Jesus told us that. And Jesus said, any pattern that contradicts his own culture and his own way of doing things, we shouldn't entertain them. We shouldn't follow them. And Jeremiah, other days that I've been God's child for quite some time, I've been following these patterns until the Holy Spirit set me free and fed me with quality information. You know, the society taught us, you want to fast, you have to look all sad and weak and tired, and you have to look all dressed wrong, and your hair scattered, your face looking moody and all of that, and your lips all dried. You know why? Because the society lives basically for impression. Jesus called them hypocrites. They do things so that they can get aliens and praises from men. That's a pattern on how to fast. Jesus said these folks now, when they want to fast, you know what they do? They actually show it. It's so obvious. Their hairs are just unkept. They look so unkept. Their lips are just so dry, and they're looking all yeah. Then people start to come, hey guy, what's wrong with you? I'm actually nothing much, just been fasting for quite some time, but I'll be fine. Then say, really? For how long now? Yeah. It's actually been 7 days now, and whoa, 7 days? You've been fasting for 7 days? Oh man, you're strong, man. Oh, I wish I can be like you. Oh man. Then it started to feel, yeah. It's nothing actually. It's nothing. Jesus says that's a pattern, and we shouldn't ever follow such pattern, because fasting is actually a spiritual exercise between father and son, between father and daughter. So if you're fasting so that you can be seen by others, then that's between you and others, not you and God. So the one who is going to answer your prayer now ain't God, but others. You have to understand it. It says there is a pattern to everything, and we shouldn't follow these patterns. Jesus called them hypocrites. They are so religious. They tell you, actually, I've been fasting for quite some time. It's been days. Jesus says we shouldn't make it obvious that we're fasting. We shouldn't. He says we shouldn't make it obvious that we're fasting, because that's what the society wants. The society wants us to make it obvious that we are fasting so that we can get aliens from other people. And they say, oh man, this guy has been fasting for quite some time. He is such a strong guy. I believe no one amongst us can ever do what he is doing. He is such a strong guy. Don't you ever compare yourself with that guy. He's been fasting for 7 days now. And nah. And you start to feel like some sort of hero. God says that's the only reward you would ever get. Okay, let us look at it. Let's see. I believe the Bible ain't a religious book. The Bible ain't a religious document. The Bible is a legal document, because God is a king. God ain't a pastor, nor is he a prophet. God is a king. And God does not have church in heaven. He has throne. So God is a king. So the Bible ain't a religious text. It is a legal text, a legal document. So if I want to put this Bible text now in a legal way, I would say turn Bible to me to Article Matthew, section 6, subsection 16. Okay, so let us read now. Here is Jesus saying, he says, when you fast, do not look sober as the hypocrites do, for to disfigure their faces to show others that they are fasting. Can you see that? And let me tell you something. While I was still fasting under the religious settings, I used to do this stuff. I tell you, You see, when I'm in the midst of people now, then you see me putting on that face. Then one of them will be so disturbed and come meet me. Hey, what's wrong with you? Then I'll be like, yeah, actually, I've been fasting for some days now. Yeah. They say, really? Then you see, that time I was quite younger, and elderly folks will now come around and say, I heard that you're fasting. Is that true? I say, yeah, that's true. Then they say, I heard it's been some days now. Is that true? I say, yeah, that's true. Then one says, don't stress him. He's fasting. Don't stress him. Then the other say, wow, what? What you're doing? I can't do it. Oh, you've got the grace of God. Oh, you've got this grace, and oh man, I love that. And I begin to feel like some sort of hero. And God says, okay, Elisha, that's the only reward you would ever get, because you're fasting in order to get praised by these folks. Jesus says, when you're fasting, do not make it obvious. And here we have folks who are fasting basically because they want to make it obvious that other people can see them and say, you're fasting. And Jesus says, that's the only reward you would ever get. Now, it continued. He said, truly I tell you, they have received their reward in full. He said, but when you fast, listen now, Jesus says, when you fast, put oil on your head and wash your face so that it will not be obvious to others that you're fasting. He said, but only to your Father who is unseen, and your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. Amazing, isn't it? Jesus is trying to tell us now, whenever you're fasting, do not make it obvious. Do not let other people know that you're fasting. Let me ask you a question now. Since when you've started fasting, can you beat your chest and say, no one knows you're fasting, even when you're at work? Can you beat your chest and say, the neighbor next door didn't know you're fasting? Can you beat yourself and say, your kids or your partner didn't know you're fasting? Leave it to them. Let them discover it by themselves. All right? Let your partner discover that you're fasting by himself, by herself. Let your kids discover that you're fasting by themselves. All right? But do not open your mouth and tell them that you are fasting. Because the moment you do it, then you're fasting basically to impress them. And they are the only one that will get your answers, your prayers answered. And they're not God. They can't do it. So you want God to answer your prayer. It is important that you do it secretly and do not make it obvious. All right? I've talked about this before, and I'm repeating it again because it is quite important, and I want you all to get it. Thank you so very much for listening to this podcast. God bless you abundantly, and it is well with you in Jesus' mighty name. And if you are watching us for the very first time, because I'm just starting this for the very first time, our podcast has been audio for three years now. And now we've started doing visuals, and now you can see me. Yeah, there's Elisha that you've been listening to for quite some time. Thank you so very much, and God bless you. Don't forget, the Holy Spirit is in charge, and in Him we live, move, and have our being. Shalom.